Hello guys, it's me, Pokemon Trigger Please, former top 3rd in the world. Let me show you how it happened. It all started with a Sinister Cup in my Pokemon Go Stadium tournament. 5 rounds. I will show you what I recorded. I was out during the first match, so I decided not to record it, just in case that affected the match at all. I am sorry I didn't record that one because it was one of the closer matches. I did also have to move during recording these sessions afterwards, after the little bit through the first round because the memory card filled up. I hope that's not too annoying to watch. I hope you enjoy. Hello, it is your boy Pokemon Trigger Please, going over how I got first in 2 tournaments using my very special team and became former top 3 in the world. Hope you enjoy. Started my fights versus Waifu, and he probably gave me one of the most challenging fights I had, but I quickly got a grip on the meta after fighting him, because Claydol was probably the Pokemon I was worried about the most, and he brought that in the first match. I decided that Dusclops would be the counter for that, and I was like, as long as he doesn't lead with Bastiodon, I should be fine. What happens? Bastiodon lead. I was like, I don't know if Fire Punch is better or Shadow Punch. I'll just throw out a Shadow Punch, see what happens. Because I don't believe I fought a Bastiodon before this in any of the training. So I was curious how it would do. And I went to switch out there, but I wasn't fast enough. So I had to eat up the Stone Edge. So that was fine. Got a message from my gorgeous girlfriend, and next thing I knew, threw in my Poliwrath, and in comes Claydol, the fun.
Hold it up, because when you're
My phone?
Well, I mean like hold it up at an angle so you can like look up more, because you're just looking down and it looks like you just have your eyes closed.
Okay. Claydol just hit me. We can just fast forward through that. I was thinking, okay, maybe if I get off this close combat, maybe, just maybe, I can take it out. Just maybe. And he shields it. Oh my gosh, I was furious. I did get a nice chunk out of the Claydol though. But here was the worst part. I went for a Fire Punch versus a Psychic type. A Psychic ground type. Why would I go Fire? I don't know. I was scared. And of course I finished the job with the Shadow Punch, but it did lose me some energy, and my dog sat on me at that point. And you'll see when it matters in the next 2 Pokemon. So the Bastiodon comes back in. I'm not able to get a tiny bit of damage off of it. It already has enough energy to get to the Flamethrower right away. So it's about 2 hits ahead of me. So I had to shield that first one. Going for the Earthquake. I know he doesn't have any shield, so he has to eat it, and we CMP tie. So if I didn't go for the Fire Punch like a big dummy, I would have had no problem with this fight. But I was able to get the Earthquake off right after him and easily take it out, even while missing a few bubbles. And what comes in? Drifloon. Easy. All I got to do is hit 2 crunches. And it would have been no problem with a fully healthy Steelix, or maybe about 10% taken off just from the smackdowns from the Bastiodon. But because he was able to get off that flamethrower, he's able to throw out a Shadow Ball and easily clean up my 3rd health Steelix, taking the first game. After that, I was very frustrated. I was curious if I should go in with the same team, and I was thinking, man, if I didn't throw that Fire Punch, I would have had it. It's like, I don't want to lead with anything other than Dusclops, though. I was like, Dusclops is so safe, so safe. But, oh, okay, I forgot. I actually ended up leading with my shiny Alolan Marowak. I had a lot of fun with him because nobody thought that you'd go for Shadow Ball right away. They always assumed you would go for the Bone Club bait and not shield it. And because of that, they would always end up shielding the Bone Clubs. So no matter what, I'd always get them with the Shadow Ball. So Steelix versus Alolan Marowak. I run Hex on my Alolan Marowak because I like getting energy more than the fire damage. It's only by a little bit, but I thought it gave me a bigger edge against the ghost types, which is really what I was more looking into. Because, yes, Steelix is very prominent, but against everything else... Oh, there's a tortoise behind us.
There is. Can I keep it?
You can go look at it. Against everything else, the Hex is going to do better, in my opinion. Oh, you can head out. I'll stop talking for a second.
I also have to get my shoes.
Let me know what kind of turtle it is. Take a photo or something. So, after he didn't shield the Shadow Ball, I just decided to go completely bananas on him with Bone Clubs to make him regret not shielding. And of course, he didn't want to shield it, even if it was just barely. Like, it would have maybe got off one crunch on me, taking out a shield. Plus, I guess he knew he was going to bring out the Bastiodon and get some easy energy. Bring out my Poly. I'm able to eat whatever attack he throws out, so I'm not worried about not having shields. Oh, so good to see. Who comes in other than Claydol? So I throw out my Steelix. Getting ready to just crunch him. I know I'm able to live through at least one of his Earth powers. Not by much, but by a little bit. So I throw out the first crunch. See if it's shielded. I know I'm going to be able to get to the crunch before he's able to get to Earth power. Dragon Tail. Throw out the second crunch. I'm praying he doesn't shield it because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to a third crunch before it, and I'm not. He easily destroys what's left of my Steelix, and I'm very happy that he got rid of his energy. And I'm able to throw out the power-up punch against him and actually take out his last shield. Which I'm kind of surprised he shielded that, knowing the moveset on my... I do not know why I went for power-up punch here. This was actually a much riskier play. I should have went straight for Hydro Pump, but I just decided that going for a lot of different power-up punches was my best course, and I don't know how, but it took it out with like barely enough energy. So it would have came very, very close. So I'm definitely happy that I won that one. Okay, last fight, Steelix lead versus his Claydol. Very nice, very nice. Because we know we're going to be able to get to the crunches before he's able to get to 2 Earth Powers. But the question is he going to shield bait with the Earth Power or Earthquake? I knew he couldn't have gotten to Earthquake because it was before even I got to Earthquake. So I decided to eat the Earth Power, go for Earthquake to try and make him think it was a shield bait, but it was actually an Earthquake. And he fell for it. So I had all that damage on him already. I was not very worried of his Claydol at that point because I felt like it was going to go down very easily with just my Poliwrath. I was putting some pressure on him to try and get him to get rid of his energy before the next Pokemon because I wouldn't have wanted to shield the next Pokemon. Come in with, I believe, the Poliwrath. Yes. Brought in the Poliwrath. In came in the Drifloon. Of course, switched straight to Alolan Marowak. I knew it had to be an Ominous Wind because he couldn't have charged it that quickly for a Shadow Ball. Went straight for Shadow Ball because I was pretty sure he wouldn't shield it. And he does. Good play on him. He throws an Ominous Wind, shield it. I already know he doesn't have a shield. I have another one. I can definitely get to this Shadow Ball before he gets to his Ominous Wind. Might have tied. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up. Bastiodon comes out. I'm like, okay, this will be fun. Claydol comes in, he's trying to make me use a move on him. I'm able to take it down a lot with a Hydro Pump. I'm looking at the health and I'm like, there's no way I cannot get to another Hydro Pump, but I see I have a shield, so I'm very calm about it. And it's gone. That's the first match won. Versus Waifu. Again, that was one of the more interesting fights. My next fight was versus TC Man. Another good fight. They like pairing me up with the fun people. I saw Mawile and Claydol. So immediately I was shaking in my boots, not enjoying the team very much. Of course, led with my Dusclops, believing it was the safest choice in this situation, as it usually is. And I got lucky and he decided to lead with Mawile. Probably trying to catch my Steelix. I decided to go straight Fire Punch. Just don't bait at all. Just why not? Of course, he's gonna shield the second Fire Punch. I just let him hit me with the power-up punches. But he goes for Iron Head instead. So That took me a little bit off guard. I decided to bring in my Alolan Marowak, farm it down, even if it does go to about a third of health down. Go straight for the Shadow Ball to try and make him think I'm trying to bait him. And he doesn't shield. I'm already super hyped. It's a Mudshot variant, so I'm not super worried about this Poliwrath already. I know that he's been charging for quite some time, so I'm thinking it's gotta be a Hydro Pump. Let me just shield this up real quick. What comes? A Power-Up Punch. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know the Hydro Pump's coming. I know it's coming. So I have to use the second shield. What comes? Hydro Pump. Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's running the same exact moves as me, except on a Mudshot variant. Very interesting to see. Go straight for the Shadow Ball. Wasn't shielded. I do not know how his Alolan Marowak seemed to live with that much health, but I'm able to take him down with the Drifloon. I decided to lead with Steelix in the next fight, thinking that he wasn't going to lead with Mawile twice in a row after my Dusclops overtook it. Well, took a big chunk out of it. I thought he'd be afraid and switch up his team some. Throw in my Steelix, what comes out? Alolan Marowak. I'm not so afraid of this. So, I think he's just gonna go straight for bait, so I just let it go through. And it's bait, so lucky. I decided to go straight for the Earthquake though, knowing that he's going to think it's bait. I let this go through because I'm like, there's no way that's a Shadow Ball, it came too fast. So he's just deciding to go straight Bone Club. Throw out the Earthquake, get met with a shield. I'm like, ah. Oh my gosh. So, I was starting to go straight for Crunch. I decided to stay in a little bit too long. I shielded it just in case the Power-Up Punch took out more than I wanted it to, but I did decide to go for Earthquake. And he doesn't shield it. So I switch out to Dusclops, safe switch, and go for a Shadow Punch, knowing that from this distance it's probably going to take him out. And it does. Nervous about what's going to come in next. It's a Mawile, so go straight for Fire Punch again. We both have one shield, so should be fairly equal. Since I was able to get off one Fire Punch though, I'm not super worried about the next Pokemon coming in against him. I believe that he thinks it's going to be a Poliwrath, so I just let him throw whatever he wants at the Steelix. It does end up taking out Steelix, but then I'm able to farm him up again with the Alolan Marowak, with a shield in the back. He does have a move ready to go. That would have been very bad for me, so I'm very glad, but it did end up being just a Bone Club, so I wasn't super concerned. With my Shadow Ball, I'm able to take him down and take game number 2. Whew, definitely some mind games in these Sinister fights. For the third fight, I wasn't sure if he was going to try going for the Mawile lead again. So I chose Dusclops just in case he did. You can kind of use the third fight just to test the waters for future fights if you can see what the teams are. Dusclops versus Poliwrath, pretty lackluster fight. I do have to remember though that his Poliwrath has Hydro Pump like mine does. I shielded up the Power Up Punch expecting it to be a Hydro Pump, my mistake. I didn't fight too many Mudshot variants, so I wasn't entirely sure on the count. So I did shield up again just to be careful, and he did end up throwing it out that time, so I knew I didn't have to worry too much on the next one. But then he ends up switching out to Mawile very, very nicely. And I see that he has 2 shields, I have 0. I'm crying at this point, knowing that he's probably going to shield both of these. First shield. I'm going. I'm like, I can get it. Throw out the second one. Please don't shield. But as we well know, if you have a shield, you're gonna use it. I know he's got all that energy. I'm thinking, what do I throw out? Who better than Alolan Marowak to try and farm him up, maybe get off a Bone Club to make it go faster. He's able to get off I believe a Power Up Punch. I make the mistake of going for Shadow Ball. I do get tied with him though. So I use up way too much energy taking on his Poliwrath. He brings back in the Mawile. I'm barely able to get to the Bone Club. Would have been a lot easier if I didn't use the energy earlier on the Shadow Ball. And he brings in Alolan Marowak versus me. It's my Drift versus his Alolan Marowak. I know it's going to be Shadow Ball to Shadow Ball. And he's able to take me out with 1 Shadow Ball. Missed it by like 2 hexes. But GG's. It's very fun fights. My next fight was with Caleb D. In round 4. We have the Alolan Marowak versus the Gardevoir lead. Not a bad lead, as Charm doesn't really do too much to us. He decides to go for Steelix, I go for the Shadow Ball, trying to catch him off guard. And I do. But his Steelix eats it. I'm looking at it like, how did that do so little damage? It felt like the other people I fought did so much less. Did so much more, sorry. So after he ate that first Shadow Ball, I decided to just go straight Bone Clubs at him, knowing that he was probably going to go for Crunch next. So I decided to switch into my Poliwrath to try and eat the Crunch. I'm able to pull it off successfully. But in comes the guard again. I'm going for Hydro Pump, and I get eaten alive. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just go right back in with the Alolan Marowak. We'll start right back where we started. Keep getting messages from the buds. Block the Shadow Ball. I'm able to farm up the Gardevoir a little bit more. Have a Shadow Ball ready for the next Pokemon. Don't even look at what it is, and I throw it right away. I could have waited to throw a Bone Club at it, which I should have done. Ends up being a Bastiodon there. Which I get lucky, and I have a Steelix. I know that it's really going to come down to baiting. Because if he's able to get to about one more Flamethrower, it's going to be over. So I go for the Crunch after I go up to the Earthquake. And I know he's thinking, what if this isn't bait? So he shields it, and now it's just going to be a race to who can get to the charge move first. And we tie. Oh my gosh, I was so mad. But he gets off the Flamethrower, and I live by this much. So I'm able to throw out the Earthquake and take him out completely. So that was one of the more exciting matches for me, other than the very close power-up punch on the Bastiodon earlier. I decided to lead with Alolan Marowak this time. He's a very good generalist in my opinion for the Sinister Cup. I mean, he was ranked the highest for a reason. He decides to come in with his shiny Poliwrath. You know, you gotta watch out for that shiny DPS. I'm going straight for Shadow Ball, trying to catch him off guard. I'm like, there's no way he got to anything important in that amount of time, so gets his power-up punch off. I go straight for Shadow Ball. And he blocks it. I'm like, oh no. I know it's probably going to be another power-up punch. So I'm tapping. I'm thinking, he may not have counted correctly, so he may block this Bone Club. So he does. And I decide to bring in my Poliwrath. He throws out an attack against me. I do decide to shield. And it ends up being a power-up punch. I get to look like a big dummy. But he throws out another attack. What's it gonna be? I don't know, I block it. And you know what it is? Ice Punch, so still shouldn't have blocked really, but now I know his moveset. So I decide to go for Hydro Pump, try and clean up. And take him out all in one hit. And I see that it's Steelix. I decide to go for Power-Up Punch, just try and rack up some more damage. I should have just went for Hydro Pump, but definitely a mistake. He's able to go for Earthquake, take out my Poliwrath. I come out with my Steelix knowing that there isn't any shields on play. I go for Earthquake, for Crunch, sorry, believing that it would leave him at least very low, and it only takes out about half of his health. I try switching out to a Alolan Marowak to try and eat the Crunch, so I can live with more health. He goes for Earthquake, takes out a very sizable chunk of me, I'm able to switch, and he goes for the crunch on my Alolan Marowak, allowing me to farm him up a little bit on my Steelix. So I'm just going for Earthquake on the last Pokemon, just knowing a Steelix Earthquake is going to hurt basically anything other than, what's its name, Drifloon. And by the skin of my teeth, I'm able to get off another crunch on this Alolan Marowak. Very close match. GG's for sure. I believe we go for a third match. I tried using Cresselia in a lot of my third matches because I wanted to try using her, but you'll see. Cresselia versus Medicham, you know, not a bad fight. Switches out immediately to Steelix, and I'm thinking, you know, probably shouldn't leave Cresselia in. So I switched to Steelix. Steelix versus Steelix. I got the shiny DPS though. I'm thinking, what's he throwing at me? So I shield. Ends up being crunched. I got baited. I go for Earthquake. Ends up getting shielded. So I'm very behind him in energy now. I know this is probably going to be an Earthquake, but I let it go through. Takes me down to yellow. I go straight for another Earthquake. Even though, no, I actually went for crunch, I guess. I do decide to let my Steelix go down, which probably wasn't a good idea, since all I have is my Alolan Marowak and my Cresselia to try taking down his Steelix. I just try to go for Shadow Ball. I'm able to get off the Shadow Ball, but it doesn't do as much health as I would have liked it to do. I decide to shield whatever he throws at me. Ends up being an Earthquake, so very glad I did. I throw out a Bone Club, expecting him to shield it. But he doesn't. And I was a little bit confused at that part. And then he brings in his Alolan Marowak, and I immediately understand why he didn't shield. So I tried baiting him to get rid of that last shield, and it doesn't work. And I'm confused, I'm like, oh no. So I try switching out to try and eat the Shadow Ball on Cresselia, but I'm not able to, so down goes my Alolan Marowak. Cresselia comes in, just starts doing her confusion. I get off the Ice Beam, trying to eat away. I expect the shield to come out now, and it does. I know Shadow Ball will take out a sizable amount, but I know that Cresselia can live it pretty well. So I just try farming down, hope that he can't get to the Bone Club first. I know that I probably won't get to it, but I try going for the Play Rough and I go down. Each time I tried using Cresselia, I didn't really like it, so it was more of a means of scaring off the Poliwrath. After that, the next person I fought was Trojack 7. I ended up going for the Dusclops lead versus his Alolan Marowak. I do like this because I can just fire off a bunch of Shadow Punches and try and scare a shield out of him. I know he has to depend on the shield bait, because if he just goes straight Shadow ball, I'll be able to just tear right through him. I'm thinking, what if he just went straight Shadow Ball? And he does, so I'm shielded. I know he's not got a good chance here. See the Mawile come and go for Fire Punch right away. I know I just gotta hit him with one of these Fire Punches. He does let the first one go through. So right away I have a breath of fresh air. I know I'm gonna be able to take a shield out of him here. There's no way he's gonna let a Mawile go down. There it comes. I'm thinking, you know, maybe I'll be able to get to a third Fire Punch since he waited so long to throw out a Power-Up Punch. And here it comes, here it comes. Ah, oh, so close, so close. I know whatever I bring in is probably going to be able to take it down before it can do significant damage, but I forgot to take into account that Dragon Tail is not super effective against a Fairy Steel type. Very, very poor choice on my end. He's able to hit me more. I'm just farming him down very, very slowly. He's able to take out 2/3 of my health with powered up bites alone. I go for Crunch, trying to scare a shield out of him. And I am able to take it. So I decide to go for Earthquake, on knowing that he's not going to be able to shield it now. Shiny versus Shiny. Take out a very large chunk of its health. So I know I can just go for Bone Club now, but I shield knowing that he has Hydro Pump. Very happy I did. I'm able to get the Bone Club off. I probably could have farmed down more to have a safer play at the end. Okay. I'm able to win. I decided to go for the very safe Dusclops lead in the last fight. The second fight, sorry. I bring out the Dusclops. I see the Haunter. Right away I am very scared because I do not like fighting Haunter. I let it go through. Shadow Punch on me. I throw out a Shadow Punch. I see if he shields it or not. He does. So I end up farming more, hoping to get to a second one. And I decide to throw out my Steelix. I'm unsure if he has a Shadow Ball or a Shadow Punch one, but I do decide to let it go through. It is just a Shadow Punch, so it doesn't take out a very, very sizable one. But he's able to fire it out over and over again, like a machine gun. Just a faster Dusclops with less bulk. I am able to take it down, but barely holding on. I am up a shield. I see the Poliwrath come in, and I try to switch right away. He decides to switch into his Alolan Marowak. I go for Shadow Ball, hoping that he thinks it's bait, as a lot of the people seem to feel, and it ends up basically one-shotting him. In comes in his Poliwrath, and I feel like there's a little bit of lag, but I'm able to throw out a Bone Club versus him. Bait him again. Very, very easily able to get to a Shadow Ball, knowing that he's gotta go for the Hydro Pump if he wants to get the kill. Get a text. and take him down.